All right.
Well, let me formally say hello. My name is John Bacigalupi. That's how you say that. That's a mouthful. Thank you very much for the time today. I'm going to talk 721s. This is a huge topic in the kind of 1031 DST world. There's some definite pros and why this is so popular and why it's such a growing segment. So I want to kind of talk for a little bit about where this fits in. Um, Also want to talk about, we all have the heart of trying to take care of clients. And when clients know about this option, there seems to be a lot of interest because of the estate planning provisions, because of the optionality down the road. So the way I see this, just like a Delaware statutory trust or a traditional DST, this is a tool for you. This is not competition. I speak to real estate groups all across the country, and everyone wants more listings. And I think if you can get the concept of 721 down and work it into, your profession, it's going to get more listings for you. It's also going to get clients to be able to refer other clients to you. So we just think this is a great tool. Just a little bit of background on Cantor. Cantor's been around for now 80 years. We operate all over the country and the world. We're in 22 countries right now, 6 continents. I think most important for this conversation and our real estate expertise is Cantor owns a controlling interest of Newmark. Newmark is the second or third largest full service real estate company in the United States. So we're talking about $100 billion of transactions a year in brokerage and in finance. So a lot of size and scale. But the purpose of the call here is not to go over 1031s and not go over to DSTs. Let's talk about what a 721 is. I'll talk for about 5 minutes, then we'll open it up for questions. I don't think I'm going to take more than about 25 minutes total. I will stay and answer more questions, but this specific topic is not an hour-long discussion. So let's talk about IRC Section 721. Big picture, this is just another IRC code like Section 1031 exchange. There's a different wrinkle to it. And so I'm going to pick on Julie because she introduced me. And Julie owns a duplex in San Jose, California. It's beautiful. And she wants to sell this property. She's done owning it. She wants to trade. So whether she wants to do a 1031 exchange or an UPREIT, and someone mentioned this UPREIT. She asked, what really is this UPREIT situation about? And it's super simple. This right here, this relinquished property that I'm highlighting is Julie's $2 million duplex in San Jose. She finds a buyer for that $2 million duplex. But the buyer says, Julie, instead of me giving you $2 million in cash, would you like $2 million worth of shares in my REIT? We own a REIT that, I'm making this up, owns $2 billion worth of duplexes in San Jose. This fits our model completely. I don't want to give you cash. I want to give you shares in the REIT in lieu of the cash. That is all a 721 is. Instead of taking proceeds in cash, you can have a deferred exchange, just like a 1031 exchange, but you're getting shares of that REIT. So Julie sold the $2 million duplex in San Jose. Now she's part of a bigger REIT and she owns a specific type of share. The specific type of share is called operating partnership units or OP units. So Julie would get $2 million worth of shares instead of cash. That is what a 721 exchange is. It's also called an UPREIT. UPREIT or 721 transaction. And that's all a 721 is. They have been around for decades and decades. Not a lot of, as I mentioned with Julie's case as that example, there's not a lot of REITs that buy $2 million duplexes in San Jose, right? Usually REITs own institutional assets that are $50 to $200 million in assets. So what we just described doesn't really work. Cantor Fitzgerald, my company, doesn't go around the Bay Area or nationally and buy $1 million, $2 million properties. We buy these large $50 million, $100 million assets. So how does a 721 work? And why am I hearing so much about it? The reason is this two-step process that we're going to talk about on the lower type of the screen. Because, and again, no disrespect to Julie's $2 million duplex, but that's not what Cantor wants to buy. So we enter into a two-step transaction. Julie's $2 million duplex is right here, but she knows a good real estate agent. So she's going to sell on her own, and she is going to complete from this relinquished property into this circle, which is a DST, but it's a special kind of DST. It's a 721 or UPREIT DST. Investor is going to close on this property, follow the 1031 exchange rules into a DST, a 721 DST, and this DST is going to sit here for 2 to 3 years. Once we've held it for a minimum of 2 years, but probably 3 years, we're going to get a valuation of the asset, and then we're going to do a 721 exchange from the DST into the REIT. And the reason we've added this second step is because this is how my company and other companies of size and scale can control the assets that are going into the REIT. No disrespect to Julie's $2 million duplex. We're not interested in acquiring that into the REIT. So we enter this two-step transaction where she's selling the asset on her own. She's completing a 1031 exchange, but only into a DST for 2 to 3 years. And then she ends up in the REIT. So she ends up in where she wanted to go, the REIT, but the sponsor is able to control the assets going into the REIT. So let me pause there. That's very mechanical. It's how the process works. I want to address any questions the group has about this process. After we answer those, or if there's not, we can just move on and talk about really the benefits to the client and why this is so popular. But let me pause there and see if there's questions just about the traditional 721 up here and then the two-step transaction.
Okay, I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead, Valerie.
Julie, okay. Okay, John, thank you so much for that. So I actually have a client who may be interested in something like this. So I really just want to reiterate to you what you just explained to us to make sure that I have this clear. So if the client has an investment property that they're going to liquidate,
Yep.
they follow the standard 1031 exchange rules in which they have 45 days to identify the target, which this would be the target. The 721 would be the target. They have 180 days to complete the transaction. They don't take any boot. They transfer all the proceeds into the 721. Am I right so far?
I would just include when you say 721, I would say 721 DST because you're going right here. So far, so good. Keep going. But 721 DST, you're following the rules. You're going into that DST. Correct.
Okay. So does that investor have to be a qualified investor, i.e. they have to have $1 million plus of personal assets outside their home value is my first question.
So that is called an accredited investor,
Accredited.
not a qualified investor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, all DSTs have to be done by accredited investors.
Okay, and are there any other parameters they have to qualify for other than that?
Nope.
No. Okay. And then once the proceeds have gone through this process, I think you're probably going to talk about this as the second part, is how are they generating income from there, basically? And that's probably, is that the next part of your presentation?
No, DSTs are, we do multifamily assets. So the
Mm-hmm.
DST is going to be a multifamily asset, as
Mm-hmm.
I'm highlighting here in the second phase. That's going to be income derived from the income from the property. And
Mm-hmm.
then once they're in the REIT, it's an income producing REIT. So the income produced by the REIT is going to be passed forth to the investor.
I think the piece that I don't have clarity on is it looks like there's an interim period in which they've exchanged into, you're saying property exchange for fractional DST interest, and then it goes into the REIT. So can you help me have a little bit more clarity about that part?
Yes, client does a 1031 exchange
Mm,
into this middle box,
yeah.
or middle circle, I should say, which
Hmm.
is a 721 DST.
Got it.
They're going
And
to
then it
be,
has to remain there for how long?
it's going to, for IRS purposes, you want it to be there at least a minimum of 2 years.
To
It's going to be
tax
about a
free, right?
2 to 3 year hold in this DST.
I see.
They're getting income along the way. They're an
Hmm.
owner of this asset. And then we get a fair market third party valuation 2 or 3 years down the road. And that valuation is what you go into the REIT as.
Got it. Okay, that
So
was the piece I didn't have. Yeah.
yeah. So the benefits here, let's go into the benefits. The benefit is Julie went from a duplex in San Jose to, let's say this DST is $100 million apartment building in Texas. So that she went and traded the, right, everyone knows this DST, you're in $100 million fractional ownership of that Texas apartment building. You're there for 2 or 3 years. You're earning income. Then we get a fair market value from a third party, and then it goes up into the REIT. The REIT is a $1 billion plus REIT. You have more diversification for older clients. You're not taking a single asset risk. That duplex only had 2 tenants in San Jose. So you're much more diversified. You're higher yielding and you have the ability to sell a certain amount of shares down the road. If Julie has $2 million in this REIT and 5 years down the road, she says, you know what, I'd like to take the family to Hawaii. I'd like to pay for college for a grandkid. She can sell 500,000 of that $2 million position. It would be a taxable event, but she would get liquidity. So it's enhanced liquidity in the REIT. It's more diversification. And big point here for estate planning provisions, if the investor passes away when they're in a REIT, in the operating partnership units here, they get a step up in basis and liquidity. That's the big issue in the DST world. If the investor passes away, the client gets a step up in basis, but they do not get liquidity because sponsors don't sell the $100 million building because one investor passes away. When you're in the REIT, you have the ability to liquidate those shares. So it's much easier for estate planning. So who the target audience here is older clients, 70s, 80s, 90s. This is an estate planning concept that has just picked up an extreme amount of interest right now. More diversified, better for tax planning, not taking single asset or tenant risk. And that's why they've really grown in popularity. And here at Cantor, we talk about DSTs, we offer 721 DSTs, and we offer opportunity zones. It's important to have different tools in your bag to help accommodate these. So that's the general view of the 721 market, and I think how it fits in for this group that is specializing in older clients and providing great service is that a lot of investors don't have the heirs. You know, the two kids, one's in New York, one's in Chicago, and they're not real estate people like dad or mom were. And who's going to manage and who's going to inherit and who's going to manage these 4 properties that the family owns now that dad is 77 and not in good health. And so we just think it's super important to have an estate plan, and tools like a 721 DST makes a lot of sense. Sometimes a standard DST where you're preserving your 1031 exchange makes more sense. It's just about having different tools to help you work with clients. One other point that I'll add is, if you can solve what the client is going into on the downside of a 1031 exchange, meaning there are a lot of clients that will say, I'm willing to sell this duplex that I own, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that proceeds. And if I just buy a duplex in San Jose, or excuse me, sell a duplex in San Jose and buy one in Mountain View, what did I really accomplish, right? So this is about that last phase in life, getting income, taking on less risk with diversification. We just feel it's a tremendous listing tool. And so let me pause there. I've kind of done all the prepared remarks I have. I want everyone on this call to be able to speak to this slide. I think that's kind of my, I don't want to say homework because I'm not a teacher, but that's how I would like you guys to think about this. And I see a question, so please jump in.
Okay, I'm going to jump in again, John. This is Valerie. Okay, so once the client sells their asset and transfers the proceeds into the fractional DST, where it's going to sit for the 2-year or 2 tax cycle period. 2 questions. One, do they have a choice of the type of DST that's in? And secondly, what type of income can they expect from that? And then the last question is, when it goes into the REIT, can they choose which type of REIT, meaning if they want to protect themselves from, we know that commercial property is in big trouble in many areas right now, can they choose which REIT that they're going into?
Yeah, let's start with the last question first, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the one that's right on the tip of my mind.
Mm.
We usually have 3 or 4 DSTs going at any one time. When you
Mm.
select a DST, whether it's a 721 DST or a traditional DST with Cantor, you know the asset, you know the business plan, you know the financing, you know everything. So on the DST side, when you're going in and doing that first step, the 1031, the answer is yes, you have all of that information. We predominantly do multifamily. We think it's the strongest sector in the
Mm-hmm.
commercial real estate space. So that's where we play most of the time. As far as the REIT goes, this would go into, and different companies, we're just one company that does this. We offer all 3 of them. It's known what REIT you're going into. You know that information. It's not a, oh, are we going to put in a REIT number 1 or REIT number 2? For us, it goes into the Cantor Fitzgerald Income Trust, which has a 9-year track record. So you know where you're going. You may not like where you're going and it may not work for you, but every one of these steps is preordained and you know where you're going.
Okay, so also before we go back to the fractional DST, the income that's generated from the REIT, is that taxable income?
It's tax efficient. It's been 100% tax deferred for the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So is that ordinary income or is it capital gains?
Well, Skip, there's 2 different things. There's income, or we use the term distributions, coming from a DST and coming from the REIT. So the REIT has a 1099. The DST has a K1-like document called a grantor letter. So we don't distribute capital gains, we distribute income.
Okay.
Okay, Lynn, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, John. This is Lynn, and thank you for your presentation. Sorry if this was kind of answered in another way, but
No problem. This is why I'm here. Happy to
okay.
fire away.
Simple mind. When you are doing a 1031 exchange, it is from real estate to real estate. So it sounds like it is real estate, but it's just packaged differently than what we're used to, right? So we're always used to, like, you know, selling the departure property and then purchasing another physical property, which it sounds like yours is, but it's just a packaged differently. Is that correct?
Your words, not mine. I would agree with that. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. So, then do you have any metrics on the ROI? Because, you know, my husband and I, we actually did do a 1031 exchange from an investment property here, one in California, and then we purchased two, one in Utah and then one in Idaho, through that 1031 exchange. And both of them have property managers, and of course there's cost involved with maintaining that property. And so we're like wondering, could our ROI be better somewhere else? And do you have any metrics on that? Like, you know, maybe we could, you know, have a better ROI to take one of those properties and then do another 1031 exchange into a REIT.
Yeah, so got to watch out on the terminology. You're not doing a 1031 exchange into a REIT. You're doing a 1031 exchange into a DST that is then doing a 721. So a little bit of detail there, but I understand what you're saying. I live in California in the Bay Area. Capitalization rates are higher outside of California than they are in California. So depending on each one of your investments, how much income is being generated, where the expenses are, I can't tell you where your assets are. For California clients, usually we're close to double, if not 60 to 70% more on the distribution side. So we're definitely increasing income. Our view is that cap rates are higher and there's more chance for compression outside of California. When you look at our offering details and you go through this, you get a track record. You can all Google the Cantor Fitzgerald Income Trust, Cantor Fitzgerald Income Trust, and see the distributions there in the 6% range now. So yes, there's a full-fledged track record. We're an investment bank with an 80-year track record. So yes, there's all kinds of data on that. But generally, outside of California, capitalization rates are higher. What we specialize in is getting that trapped equity to work for you in areas that we think are just going to appreciate more than California or the areas where people live. The other thing that is a challenge just in California is the fact that tenants have a lot more rights than the landlords in some cases. So a lot of people just want to be passive. And as long as the rates of return are comparable or there's a good case, right? We don't have a crystal ball, but looking at the cap rates and the data that we have, we think we're going to do much better outside of California, outside of the West Coast, where there's been so much appreciation and you have that trapped equity, and it's getting harder and harder to manage and be a landlord.
And don't forget, all investors really have the responsibility to do their own research and homework to decide what that's going to be. So it's up to the investor to figure this kind of thing out.
100%. The other thing is these are securities. DSTs, 721 DSTs are sold through financial advisors. So that's important to know. We think it's a phenomenal listing tool. And for clients in their 60s and 70s and 80s to say, let's sell that duplex and let's get you in a 400-unit apartment building in a growth area part of this country where people are moving to, where jobs are being created, where the local state government is pro-business. Those are the areas that we want to invest in. but people need to be prepared to be a passive investor. You know, these are 400 units. It's a little village almost, a little city. Someone's always moving in, someone's always moving out, and investors need to get comfortable with being a passive investor. My dad didn't want to be a passive investor at 65. At 75, he did. So I just think for clients in their 70s and 80s, you know, what happens if dad passes away? Does mom know how to pay? I don't mean to be rude, but does mom or dad know how to pay the bills, manage that property? What happens if I get hit by a bus type scenario? You know, at a certain point, the baby boomers owned a tremendous amount of real estate, and these are very, very important topics and ideas that a lot of them don't know. We get a lot of feedback saying, I wish we knew about this 5 years ago. We've struggled with managing properties. We've tried to do it ourselves. It's hard.
You mentioned that about opportunity zones. I thought they were pretty much run their course and there aren't many left. Are you finding that there are some?
Oh, Skip, yeah, I would definitely respectfully say the opportunity for opportunity zones is greater now than there ever has been.
Really?
And the reason is there's going to be an update through Washington. It's already passed the House and it's making its way through the Senate. Who knows in what form, if it gets passed or what that looks like. They're going to do a 2.0 update on opportunity zones. And so right now, Skip, think about this. You have the ability to invest in an opportunity zone that was segmented as an opportunity zone per the 2010 census information. The year's 2015. There are areas that have changed dramatically in 15 years. You look left, you look right, it doesn't look like an opportunity zone at all anymore, yet it still qualifies. So when I'm talking about the large business opportunity, that is what I'm talking about. Of the 8,764 zones in opportunity land, we're only interested in about 25 that we think are completely mismarked. We provided capital for a $20 million sleeve of debt for a company that was halfway through construction in Florida on an asset. So these opportunities are still there, and I think they're going to get larger when the 2.0 update for opportunity zones takes place sometime later this year.
Okay, thanks for that. I didn't know.
Yeah, no problem. I'll get a white paper out. The white paper that we wrote on opportunity zones is it's 30 days old and it's already needs an update. So once we get a nice clean update, I'll work with you, Skip, to get that out to the team.
Yeah, I
Okay,
would
that'd be
like
great.
that very much. Yeah.
What other questions about 721s? Let's keep this zeroed in on 721s. I definitely have another 5 or 10 minutes if there's more questions. Does everyone feel comfortable speaking about a standard 721 where the client sells the property, but instead of getting cash, they get operating partnership units? That's how it works, but it's very rare that a REIT wants to buy an individual retail client's asset. So all we're doing is inserting a 721 DST, and this way we control what goes into our REIT. We're not buying, again, no disrespect to Julie's $2 million duplex in San Jose, but that doesn't fit our investment philosophy. So,
Here's the path that I'm seeing, and that for us as the real estate professional for the duplex owner, we can offer the homeowner a path to this larger opportunity that they would not otherwise have. And it requires them going into the 721 after the 1031.
correct.
So there's kind of a double,
Two steps.
well,
I would say two-step.
yeah, two-step. Oh, it is two-step.
100%
Yeah,
is two-step. You're
yeah.
using both the 1031 rule from step 1 to 2 And then from 2 to 3, you're using the 721 rule.
So the kind of, once it's in the 721 and it's in the seasoning period, the 2 to 3 year period, what kind of monthly dividends or whatever you call it, distributions would they experience during that time?
Yeah,
In
it's
terms
just
of percentage.
Yeah, it's just the market right now with financing. You know, we get better financing because we're a preferred borrower through Freddie and Fannie. So we just did 505 10-year interest only loan. That's the market's moved. It's more 5.6, 5.7 now. And so with today's market, what we're seeing today, the distributions are about 4.5% on a yearly basis.
Okay, that's good to know, because a good portion of our clients are going to be utilizing those funds for their next living situation.
Totally. And that's why if you can get higher distributions outside of California, that's very attractive. And that's I kind of spoke to that already, but just higher cap rates outside of California means more current distributions or income.
And then integrating all of that and collaborating with the financial planner would afford the client to have confidence that they can move forward using this strategy pretty confidently, because it will be amortized out, at least it would illustrate it, so that they can have confidence that they can, okay, in this many years while it's seasoning at 721, then we get to the REIT, and then it's going to be that, and it's kind of all laid out. You guys, you're from financial planners anyway, right? Or you work with financial planners?
That's who we work with all day on a variety, not just on tax stuff, on other investments as well. We're a large investment firm.
Yeah,
that's how I came
planning,
across.
not taxes. Taxes, that's a different, subject. But financial planning.
That's how I came across John. He is in the Financial Planning Association with me. We're both CFPs. He's up in San Fran, and I'm here in Silicon Valley. And the way I found out about this is in one of our FPA publications. John did an article on 721, so that was the starting point for all this. So John's a big deal in financial planning.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's perfect. And how much exposure or how much collaboration do you already do with realtors in general?
Yeah, when they reach out, I speak to their clients. Occasionally once a quarter or once every couple of months, a group calls me in to speak in person or via Zoom. So I do a lot of CE credit, and I'm a resource. So, predominantly, I will be honest, predominantly we're calling on financial advisors and talking about this whole suite of products. This is one of those things, as you know, it's we work with real estate agents, but I'm not emailing thousands of them a day. I kind of get more brought in to add value. But I'm happy if there's specific cases or there's a specific client that just wants to ask questions and walk through this. We don't expect you guys to be experts on this after 20 minutes or so. That's why I really wanted to keep it simple. And if you guys can speak to this slide, I think we've accomplished a lot.
And do you have marketing collateral, such as a one sheet or something of this slide or something similar that we can integrate into our marketing?
Yeah, so Skip is going to this is a deck that we call advanced tax planning that talks about all of the things below. So I'm going to send this as a PDF. We also have a one-pager on 721s that I think makes sense as well. And I'm happy to be a resource. These are tremendous vehicles to get you guys more listings.
Now, Cantor is Newmark's also a part of Cantor. Is that what you were saying?
Yep.
So commercial real estate. So when you're collaborating, or we bring you clients and they bring you funds and they open an account with you, do you do referral fees?
No, it's a security. I
It's
value
real
my,
estate.
No, it's not, Julie.
it's a security.
Okay.
Yep. So unfortunately, I get that question a lot. There's not ways to double end it where you're selling and you're providing them. This is just about getting more listings.
So you don't pay referral fees?
It's a security. We would
You need
So-
a securities license to do that.
Well, we might have realtors that have such, so, and there's other
not all realtors
DST
do.
providers that do pay referral fees and commissions.
Not
So
all.
there's one, and I believe the Franchise Tax Board of California is having major issues with that. So I'm not an attorney.
So
Happy to
what's
continue
that?
the conversation offline, but for this group, this is the DST and the REIT are securities, and that's the big issue with the commission side of it, is that they need to go through licensed financial advisors. If a real estate agent is also a financial advisor, that's an exception, and we can definitely talk about that. But yeah.
Well, we have some that are as such in our network, so that's
great.
another, yeah. So, and this is good new information.
Yeah.
And moving forward, it would be, interesting to figure out what would be the value prop for us. And besides, having a nice shiny thing to tell people about.
Yeah, I think that I can be very clear about what the value proposition is. It's getting you that listing.
Well, we have lots of things that can help with that.
Fair enough. And this is just another tool
Julie,
for that.
I'm just saying. But no, and it's brand new information, which is great because everything changes, things become, new all the time. So new offerings, new ways of doing things. So that's good. Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
John, I had a question.
Please.
So, you do free initial consultations if we have a client that we bring to you, and can we be on that Zoom call?
Sure. No problem at all.
Okay.
Happy to be a resource.
Okay, so it's like a 30-minute and then consult. So I actually I had a 8,000 square foot listing, and I was inviting the neighbors, and somebody comes to the door and he's like, we are actually thinking about moving close to our daughters, and but of capital gains. And so would that be your avatar client?
I'm not understanding the question. I got it to a certain point.
Yeah, so just kind of like seeing, because obviously we're series people, we're working with seniors. So, seniors want to be close to their children, they want to move, they want to sell their house, but they don't want the capital gains, assuming that both spouses are still alive.
Yep.
And so, I actually have a property management firm that I'm a partner in. And so we are in discussions with them of, renting out their place, converting it later to a 1031 exchange. So they're going to rent in West Covina close to their daughters, and then, do all of that. So it sounds like if they went with this method, they can still achieve the same results of not having to pay the capital gains. Is that correct?
deferring it.
Correct. They just would have to be 1031 eligible, and it sounds like you would be renting out their single family home that they live in. They'd rent it out for a series of years to be able to qualify for the 1031. So as long as that they qualify for a 1031, that this would be an option for them.
Okay, and the other question, I guess it depends on how liberal or conservative your CPA, because I've heard many answers to how long do they have to have it as a rental before it becomes 1031 eligible. I've heard everything from 13 months to 2 years to 1 year. So Do you have?
Yeah, so I'm not a lawyer, so I'm always going to put the disclaimer out. Most CPAs want to see 2 tax filings. So what you described there, 13 months could be two tax filings.
Oh, okay.
So that what you described was right there, right? 12 months, no, usually you want to see 2 tax filings is what I believe the majority of CPAs want. Again,
Tax filings where you're showing it as a rental property.
Yes.
correct. But
Got it.
again, I don't give law advice.
Okay.
Please consult your CPA on that.
Yeah, okay, because I'm like, could it mean that I'm renting it out in January and then by that April, I'm saying, okay, this is a rental property and that would be counted one tax filing, although there was only 4
No,
months.
because that would be 4 months, January to April.
Oh, I'm sorry. So let's say they did it in November of, 2024 and now 2025 April, I'm claiming that as income from 2025 or 2024, if that makes sense for the
Yeah,
20.
I think you're going to be all right. But anytime you're trying to give very specific tax advice, I would bring in a tax professional.
Consult with enrolled agent or such. Okay, thank you.
John, can I jump in? And I just want to clarify something about income again. So, because the scenario I'm thinking of that's going to make most sense for people is that they're tired of managing their rentals. They want to get out of the active management phase and they want to move into the passive phase, but they're basically wanting to replace the income stream that they're currently generating. So, with that, what I'm trying to understand is how frequent are the distributions once they get into the 721 DST? Is it quarterly or annually?
Monthly?
And then monthly, okay. And then the other question is, my understanding the last time I've looked at REITs is that there are federal regulations that they are required to distribute a certain amount of capital gain that if they generate that in a year, they're required to distribute it, even though it's going to be taxable income to the members of that REIT. Is that true? And is that still?
You got a lot of information there. Some of that was accurate and
Mhm.
some of it was not. REITs, a question on the Series 7 exam, they need to pass through 90%
Yeah,
of the income that they take in. So it's not capital gains. You
I
use the
see.
term capital gains. It's the
Yeah.
income that the REIT is taking in.
Yeah.
REITs are pass-through vehicles. They need to push out 90% of that
Right.
income to qualify as a REIT. So it's not a capital gain situation. Capital gains do come into play, but you kind of inserted the capital gain into the REIT rule,
Got
and
it.
it's about the income coming in.
So that income, obviously, again, it's everybody's situation is different, but it's going to most likely be a taxable situation. And only when the investor liquefies their position is when any type of capital gain could be attached to that if they don't transfer into another tax deferred vehicle. Is that correct?
No, I think again, you got a lot in there. Capital gains only
Yeah.
occur when you're buying and selling.
Well, for example, so somebody does the 721, holds it for the 2 years, goes into the REIT, and the person then makes a decision they don't want to stay in the REIT. They want to dissolve their position. So now they have proceeds.
It's going to be a taxable gain going back to their first 1031 exchange, right? In the 1031 and 721 rules, you're deferring taxes each way. So if someone wants to sell the shares down the road 5 or 6 years, it's going to be a taxable event and there's going to be capital gains, and it's going to depend on what their original basis is, how many 1031 exchanges that they've done. The goal with these vehicles is to never sell the assets, because if you never sell the assets, the heirs are going to get the step up in basis.
Yeah, got it. But at some point, so if somebody did for some reason decide to dissolve their position in the REIT, they still could go into another tax deferred vehicle. Is that correct?
No. No, they're selling, they've sold their REIT position. It's a taxable event. Period, full
see.
stop.
I see. So it cannot qualify. I'm sorry, I've now asked this twice, but I just want to make this clear. So it cannot qualify in the case of like when they liquidated their real estate and did the 1031 into the 721 and then into the REIT. When they dissolve their position in the REIT, they do not have the option to take those proceeds and find another tax deferred vehicle. Is that correct? They cannot. They have to take
Correct.
the, okay,
Well,
got it.
they can exchange into another situation though, can't they?
No, they can't. Not from a
Not
REIT.
a second exchange?
Not you. Once you go down the 721 route and you go into a REIT, there's no 1031 exchange from the REIT into something else.
Yeah, that's important to know. Yeah.
Okay, good, because at 1031, of course, you can,
Yeah.
But you can sell it.
and get capital gains tax.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just part of the math. Yeah.
All right, I need to I need to go to Walnut Creek to speak with some more people.
I'm
Final
sorry.
questions. Final questions. I'm happy to take one more. If not, I'm happy to be a resource. I appreciate the Q&A. The goal here is just to spur you guys on and give you options and to think about ways to get more listings. That's our goal here.
Do you have your email?
John, yeah. John, I was just, thanks for your time, John. Probably we'll look forward to that one pager because that will be kind of a yes, no question, right? That will give us the map of when to reach out to you and when can we tap into your services as well.
Yeah.
Do you have an email?
Okay, yeah. And the email, yes.
Don't
Yeah,
forget, John.
we'll get the information to Skip today, and we'll get that out to you guys.
Yeah, and it's in the bulletin as well. And John, so where are you physically located?
The San Francisco Bay Area,
Well, that's where we are, but I mean, like what town?
City.
Piedmont.
Oh, you're in Piedmont. Okay, awesome, awesome. Good to know. I mean, just
Yeah.
general terms.
Yeah,
Like we're in San Jose, we're all over the Bay Area, but
These
no,
are
that's
hugely
just good for-
popular. We do $20 to $30 million worth of business a month in our DST line of business just in the Bay Area.
Wow.
So you guys need to be educated on this because it's just another tool. So
We need to have you back just for the DST. and
I'm
for
happy
the
to
listing.
speak.
That would
I'm
be
happy to do it
amazing.
more. I just knew with the 721
Yeah.
we wanted to keep it really tight today. So thank
That
you
would be
so much
amazing.
John.
for the
Thanks,
opportunity to
Sean.
speak. Will we work with Skip to get the information out to you?
Thank you so much.
All right,
Yeah,
guys,
thank-
take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Maybe we can hang on a little longer.
Yeah.
Next week is the CSA group. Curtis Peterson will be talking to us. Now, we did this once before, but I think we got a whole bunch of new faces now. And also the fact that the Compass agents, if they're going to join Compass Plus, are mandated to get their CSA when they do. So it'll be good information next week about this wonderful organization, and hope you guys can all make it.
It's really going to be fun and interesting to see what Curtis talks about next week. So Seb, Curtis was at the event last week.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So, and on behalf of CSA, and they're making, this relationship with CSA and Compass Plus is very pointed. And I'm just anxious to learn about Curtis's perspective on that as well. So we have a few, like Valerie's at KW, they have the real estate planners, which is their senior real estate division. I don't think Coldwell Banker has something like that.
Well,
So when
Coldwell Banker, like they are like 55 Places, a place for mom. Like they are actually hooked up with like a lot of the senior real estate websites for lead generation.
Well, a place for mom Maybe Mike, you could speak to a place for mom a bit.
Yeah, well, certainly Place for Mom pretty much invented the senior placement business. It's interesting that they are very much web dominated right now. They everything they do is really web centric. So it's and it's no surprise they've got their fingers out with the different real estate, different entities. They're huge.
I would love to talk about this if I can, Julie. I have a lot to add.
Throw something in there, Jessica.
Yeah, I mean, I echo what Mike is saying, and I've been watching this for years, and I just, well, I want to say first, I know a lot of very good placement agents, but I even think ones that think that they're ethical because there's really no code or standard. There's really a lot of unethical practices if you look at the code of ethics for real estate agents. So I think this is exactly the time where, a lot of people are saying that we needed to reform this, that was made up by a Place for Mom, because it's made up. The real estate is what caused this. The real estate business would cause that model. It's the senior living. There's no such thing as a senior living investor. Okay. They're invested in real estate. It's the bottom line. Not to say that the people that are working there, right? So the bottom line is the house of cards is falling down. There's lots of things I would love to share with everybody. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but you're going to start seeing the Place for Mom either receding or transforming and becoming a lead generator for real estate and things like that, because the brokering of seniors is starting to kind of recede. And I've been working on a project for years, and I'd love to share it one day. But I hear what Mike's saying. But I think these are really good, interesting times for real estate agents that are focused in this area to become educators and definitely set themselves apart. So I think that's the opportunity. If you look at what's going on simultaneously with what's happening with the lead generation market, I could talk for hours about it, but I think it's good for you guys. It's really good for you guys.
Well, Mike knows everything and all things. He's our expert on senior placement, especially right here in our own market. And I'm sure he has a lot of observations. So, and we're so blessed to have him in our group. My observation with Compass Plus, the stuff that's going on with the giant flags. I got my eyebrow going here because I'm.
Well, I just want to say I don't want to discount people that do the placement. It's the model that's changing right now. That's why it's interesting times. It's the model. It's one of those industries and professions that are evolving because of technology and because there's different people in the space, such as yourselves, that are growing in this direction. So it's just kind of like a movement of the currents, if you will. And so that's
I think it's tectonic.
Oh, you do?
Oh yeah, it's
I didn't know if I had said
what's
something
going
that,
on.
like I was stepping on toes something, because I don't mean it like that. I just like I've been watching this for 20 years and I could see exactly what's happening.
Yeah, but see, that's why I'm a little sus with Robert Refkin and his mother over there at Compass, thinking, now I'm sure they've spent a lot of money and time and invested a lot of brain cells into developing Compass Plus and seeing the writing on the wall with that demographic. And I'm been saying the same thing, just what Skip and I do over here in our little teeny tiny, corner of the world. So I'm really happy to see that Robert and his mother are doing a big deal. But I want them to, I'm a little suspicious that they're not quite on board with the care of the senior. They're still real estate. So there's still a long way to go to create.
Oh yeah, no, again, yeah, you're gonna
real estate, and the care of senior living and care.
Yeah, that's why I think that this group is so dynamic in that sense, is because there's some authenticity here. It's very genuine, and that's I saw a very different back in the day. We're talking like 15-20 years ago. Wells Fargo had all the bells and whistles on the marketing for trust departments, stuff like that. We don't have trust departments anymore. They don't exist.
So it's just kind of like, you draw on the marketing, but at the end of the day, this is still like a human touch, human business. And it's people that want to remain human are going to work with humans. That's straight up,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any observations? Any comments?
I was listening very closely to what you guys were just talking about as far as senior placement and whatever, because I'm actually, as a broker, I'm a broker too, but I'm in the process of downsizing myself. I think I've mentioned this before. So I'm going to be listing my place. Well, it's already the signs in front of the house. I'm in a mobile park, and I want to downsize part two, and I just want to be comfortable now. I'm 75, and I think that I don't need to own anything anymore. Whatever it liquidate, the kids will get the liquid, and but I'm having a problem finding suitable places to look for, because I just wanted like a 2-bedroom, something comfortable where I don't have to do anything. I just want to park my suitcases there till I get back.
Shelly,
Yes.
well, you're in the right group of people. We can
I
all
know,
probably be like,
know,
oh, I know
exactly.
where you should go. I know where. Okay, we have to talk. We'll talk offline.
Please do. I need all the help I can get right now.
Yeah.
I'm in the decluttering stage. People have already prepared the outside, so now I need to know how to get rid of all of this stuff.
We got you, girl.
All right.
I'll send you or text me, and I can text you. You text me. We'll figure it out, and then we'll
All
put
right.
everybody on it.
Okay, great.
Pick wherever you want to go in the world. We're covered.
All right,
Hey,
great.
Julie, send her Joan's information because Joan.
Yes, definitely.
Great.
Oh, she was the first. You're right, Valerie, because that was the first thing I thought of.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel so good. Thank you for the help.
Yeah, because it's just here we are. We're going to help each other. Like Mark, he's in Florida. You want to go to Florida?
I would love to.
Yeah.
I went to Vegas for the weekend for Mother's Day with my daughter, and I'm like, dang, I could live here. So I don't know what I'm gonna. I have no clue. I'm just following the wind right now. So I need all the help. Thank you.
Roni's on Long Island.
I know. No, I ain't going back. I'm from Jersey. It snows there.
Never mind.
I'm from Jersey. No, it snows
Okay,
there.
Sherry's in Michigan. Let's go. Let's talk about Michigan.
No, been there too. No, it snows anywhere it snows.
No snow.
We're not even going to Tahoe, okay?
Move to Fiji.
Fiji's good. There's a huge expat population there.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
All
There's
right.
only a handful.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
We'll get you taken care of. Okay,
All
so
right.
real quickly, this weekend, I mentioned it in the email, SourceWise is having their healthy living fair this weekend on Saturday morning at the Santa Clara Senior Center, the City of Santa Clara Senior Center. And so I was privileged enough to be able to get a table. I will be at the Healthy Living Fair.
It's from 9 to noon.
9 to noon. And
It's 1303 Fremont Street, and that's the Santa Clara Senior Center. It's pretty big. Lots of parking.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. Okay, so here's the point. There's gonna be a lot of seniors there.
Really?
I know, and I'm gonna talk to them.
You think at a senior center?
I'm gonna tell them all about what we do as seniors real estate specialists. I'll do it on a because nobody knows. Like, we're the secretest of the secret agents over here. So we got to start doing things to help that. Anyway, so that was my point. I wanted to share that with you guys. And so everybody in their own little corners of the world, I'll make a little report of it, because we can start to go out and do these things in your own neck of the woods. If anybody else got anything that they want to share? observations, something coming up, need help with, like Shelley?
I have something coming up on June the 28th with Rebecca Moeller. We're
Oh,
doing
Michelin, yay! Okay, what are you guys doing?
using equity for wealth building and income. We had a meeting this morning with a lender. So I found out Rebecca doesn't necessarily offer that or have a partner. So I introduced my lady, and we went over prep and introducing one another and one thing or another. But it's going to be online, and I'm sending it out to my database. So send it to you guys. As you know, I've done it at my church, but this one is going to be online so we can draw in more people. And I'm going to be working on the flyer as well as social media this week.
Okay, really quickly, tell them about Rebecca and what she does.
Rebecca is a specialist in ADUs, and we're finding out with the it's not a secret, with the housing crunch in California, people can use their garage space to form an ADU. And we did go on the tour in Montserrat of a unit that she did. All custom work is what she does. And she has, and her site is SimbiHome.com, and you could see her credentials, highly qualified. And we're really excited about doing this because it's something that she needs to offer in terms of people, if they don't have the cash, boom, boom, boom. And we're going to concentrate on the reverse mortgage. Even with the rates being where they are, we're finding a way where we can offset the cost of the reverse with the income that can be generated from the AUD. And she brings all the legislation that's in. We talked about it's not reassessed. So that's a savings right there. And we're going to be bringing up all the pros and cons. There were several things. No reassessment costs, the net income after our expenses, and all the income that's not used will generate income. And it's not credit score driven. There's a lot of seniors who are on fixed income, but they have a lot of equity in their home. I said rich, cash poor, but this is a way of them aging in place by using the asset they currently have.
Yep.
So it's 10 to 12, June the 28th. So I'll be sending out a save the date, and so forth and so forth, and following up on people. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks,
Rebecca, well, you know Rebecca. She's a great presenter. And Elva will be somebody because she's a great lender too. She does all kinds of loans.
And that your lender is again who?
Elva Wormley, C2 Financial.
Oh, nice.
One of the biggest providers of reverse mortgages.
Well, we got to get her.
She should come. She's great.
Yeah.
Licensed in Washington, California, as well as Maryland.
Where is she located?
She's in California right now. She's in Maryland with her mom.
Oh.
And she has a senior mom too. So she knows what we go through.
Yeah. All right. That's amazing. See, we're busy.
And her mom is aging in place. So she's helping her mom age in place.
Busy. Yeah. See, we're right in it. All right, everybody. Anything else? Crickets. Don't everybody be so chirpy.
And we're doing downsizing September the 27th with Lisa Mark, and that will be at my church.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good.
And the demo, and it's going to be a live demo of how she works. She liked the idea. I gave it to her, so she said, "Let's do this." So any of the furnishings I'm trying to gather. So if any of you have, I would say sofas, chairs, tables, linen of that sort that you want to donate, slightly used. If it's slightly used, we don't want any junk. We're going to donate those things. We're going to bring them to the church the day before, set it up, and then donate it to one of the shelters, or we support House of Grace, Elmwood women who are coming out of prison, Heritage House, and there's about 3 of them that we support as they're coming out, and they need furnishings as well as places to live. So we're trying to give them a fresh start with everything donated so they can go on to their next journey.
Amazing, amazing.
What was that list of items again? Say that list.
Like sofas, chairs, tables, because we're going to do it. If you go into, because Lisa's helped me and she's a great professional organizer, and she always asks for pictures of your space. And she always says, what's your pain point? My office was my pain point. So she actually goes in and comes in and works with you. That's why she has to book up so early in advance, because she actually works with the clients. But everything that we, if it's donated items, we're going to give them away. And I'm looking at some of the department stores that have stuff that's not selling and ask them for donations as well. So it's not going to stay at the building. Our building, we want to give it to people who need it. So it's covering two bases. Number one, how she professionally organizes by doing it visually so you can see her, as well as using, after it's over, we're donating all these things to folks who can use them. So if you have anything, Shelley, yes.
Yeah, I'm
Look me up.
just turning because yeah, I tell you I'm getting rid of stuff. So okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk. Okay, great.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
All right, everybody. Great meeting today. Next week, we're gonna, like we talked about earlier, Curtis Peterson is gonna be here from the CSA. We're gonna have a lot of new information from him. I'm really looking forward to that. So everybody have a great week.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.